The alien council chamber reeked of burnt ozone and something sweet that made Lieutenant Kyle Brennan's eyes water. He stood in restraints that hummed against his wrists, surrounded by beings that looked like they'd been carved from living crystal. The largest one, dripping with what he assumed were royal markers, leaned forward on her throne. "You will answer the Queen," a translator device barked in his ear. Kyle had been awake for 37 hours. His ship was debris, his crew was dead, and now this. The Queen's voice came through as a chorus of chimes. "Human, in your world, who guards you most?" He blinked. Of all the questions he'd expected, this wasn't one. "Answer her," a smaller crystal being hissed. "The princess, maybe. She had fewer decorations but sharper edges." Kyle's throat was dry. "Nobody guards us." The chamber went silent. Even the humming restraints seemed to pause. "Impossible," the princess said. "Every species has protectors. The strong guard the weak. The old guard the young. The warriors guard the civilians. This is universal law." Kyle laughed. It hurt his ribs. "Not for us." The Queen's facets rotated, reflecting light in patterns he couldn't read. "Explain." "We guard ourselves," Kyle said. "Every single one of us. A kid in school learns to fight off a bully. A grandmother keeps a shotgun under her bed. A scientist carries a sidearm to the lab. We don't wait for someone else to save us." "Barbaric," another alien muttered. "Effective," Kyle shot back. "You want to know why your fleet didn't expect us to fight back when you glassed our colony? Because you assumed we'd have soldiers and civilians, separate categories. You thought you were hitting soft targets." The princess moved closer. The settlement was full of researchers, engineers, families. "Yeah," Kyle said. "And every single one of them knew how to shoot. How to improvise explosives. How to turn a mining laser into a weapon. You killed them, sure, but how many of your ships didn't come back?" The Queen's silence stretched. Kyle could see his reflection in her surface, distorted and multiplied. 17 warships, she finally said, "against a science outpost. We teach our children that no one's coming," Kyle continued, "that rescue might never arrive, that you protect yourself first, then your neighbor, then strangers if you can. It's not about being warriors. It's about refusing to be victims." The princess recoiled. "You raise your young to fight? We raise them to survive." The Queen stood. The room seemed to tilt with her movement. "This changes our assessment of your species." Kyle met her faceted gaze. "Good, because the rest of humanity just got your coordinates." The restraints deactivated. "We did not understand," the Queen said quietly. "A civilization where everyone is the guard. Where there are no sheep, only sheepdogs pretending to graze." "Close enough," Kyle said, rubbing his wrists. The princess looked terrified. "Who guards you most?" the Queen asked. "My humans" answer shocked the princess. .txt. The Queen gestured, and Kyle's restraints clattered to the floor. Guards crystallized from the walls, weapons aimed at his chest, but she raised one translucent hand and they froze. "You will explain further," she said. "Sit." A chair grew from the floor. Kyle didn't move toward it. "Your Majesty." "This is unwise," the princess said. "He admits his kind are coming. We should execute him now and prepare defenses." "Defenses," Kyle said flatly. "You think defenses will help?" The princess's edges sharpened visibly. "We have conquered 47 star systems. Our military is without equal in this sector." "Your military?" Kyle repeated. He finally sat, not because she'd offered, but because his legs were shaking. "That's your problem right there. You have a military? We don't." The queen tilted her massive head. You just threatened us with retaliation. That requires military force. No, Kyle said. It requires people who are pissed off. There's a difference. One of the guards made a sound like grinding glass. The queen silenced it with a look. Explain this difference, she commanded. Kyle leaned back. The chair adjusted to support him, which was unsettling. Your military has rules, ranks, supply lines, command structures. They're predictable. You can negotiate with them, bribe their officers, cut their logistics, standard warfare. And humans do not fight this way? We do, Kyle said, when we have a military. But here's what you don't understand. Our military is maybe 3% of our population. The rest, they're still armed, still trained, still dangerous. You can't negotiate with them because there's no central command. You can't cut supply lines because they make their own weapons. You can't predict them because they're not following a tactical manual. The princess moved closer, her form shifting colors. You're describing chaos. Inefficient, wasteful, terrifying, Kyle corrected. You glassed one of our colonies, killed maybe 50,000 people. Know what that means? That we demonstrated our power, a guard said. Kyle smiled without humor. It means 50,000 families just became your problem. 50,000 groups of parents, siblings, friends who now have a single goal. Some of them are soldiers, sure, but most are farmers, teachers, dock workers. And every single one of them is coming for you. Impossible, the princess said. Civilians cannot wage war. Human civilians can. Kyle stood slowly, hands visible. You want an example? Back on Earth, 20th century, a farmer named Simo Hea, quiet guy, grew crops. Then invaders came. He picked up a rifle and killed over 500 enemy soldiers. 500. One farmer. The room went very quiet. Or Ludmila Pavlichenko, Kyle continued. Student, 19 years old. 309 confirmed kills as a sniper. She was studying history before the war came to her. Anomalies? The princess insisted, but her voice wavered. Millions of anomalies, Kyle said. Tens of millions. That's what happens when you build a culture on self-reliance. You asked who guards us most? We do. Each of us. And when you hurt us, you don't get one military response. You get a billion individual responses, and you can't predict or counter them all. The queen's facets rotated slowly. You are saying your entire species consists of potential warriors. No, Kyle said. We're saying our entire species refuses to die quietly. There's a difference. We don't want to fight. Most of us go our whole lives without firing a shot in anger, but we can. We know how, and we will. This is madness, the princess said. A society cannot function this way. Who maintains order? Who prevents internal conflict? We do, Kyle said again. Same answer. We police ourselves. We defend ourselves. We govern ourselves. It's messy. It's loud. It's complicated, but it works. The queen rose from her throne, and now we have killed your people. Yeah, Kyle said quietly. Now you've made it personal for a whole lot of humans who were perfectly happy never knowing you existed. What would you have us do? Kyle looked at her directly. Pray. The word hung in the air like a blade. The human fleet, the princess said suddenly. How long until they arrive? Kyle checked his mental clock. Based on when my distress beacon went active, they're already here. The palace shook. Alarms shrieked through crystalline halls. Who guards you most? The queen asked. My humans answer shocked, the princess.txt. The explosion rattled Kyle's teeth. Crystal shards rained from the ceiling as the palace lurched sideways. The guards scattered, their formation breaking like glass under a hammer. "Impossible!" the princess shouted over the alarms. "Our orbital defenses are impenetrable. Nothing could have reached the surface." Kyle grabbed the chair as another impact shook the floor. "You're thinking military targets, orbital platforms, shield generators. That's not what they hit first." The queen steadied herself against her throne. "What did they strike? Your water treatment facilities, probably. Power grids, communication relays, food distribution centers." Kyle watched understanding dawn on their crystalline faces. "The stuff that keeps your civilians alive. That violates every convention of warfare," a guard said. "Whose conventions?" Kyle shot back. "You glassed a colony without warning. You think humans are going to play by rules you already broke?" The princess's colors shifted to something dark and furious. "We struck a military target. Your colony housed weapons research." "It housed a university with the engineering department," Kyle said. 15-year-old kids learning physics. Families growing food in greenhouses. And yeah, some scientists who knew how to build things. You didn't care about the distinction then. Why should we care now?" Another explosion. Closer this time. The walls spider-webbed with cracks. "Your Majesty, we must evacuate," a guard urged. The queen didn't move. "How many ships did you bring?" Kyle laughed. "Ships? You're still thinking in terms of fleets and formations. How many humans did we bring? That's the question." "Answer it," the princess demanded. "I don't know," Kyle said honestly. "Could be 1,000. Could be 1,000,000. We don't organize like you do. Somebody sent out a call, showed what you did to the colony, and people came. Merchants, haulers, private yachts, mining rigs, whatever they had that could make the jump." The queen's facets dimmed. "A mob, an angry mob with improvised weapons and nothing to lose," Kyle corrected. "And you can't negotiate with them because there's no leader. Can't bribe them because they don't want money. Can't intimidate them because they watched their families die on your footage." The floor buckled. Kyle stumbled but kept his feet. The guards formed a protective circle around the queen, their weapons useless against the assault from above. "They're not even trying to take the palace," the princess said, watching her tactical displays flicker and die. "They're destroying the city's infrastructure." "Scorched earth," Kyle said. "You taught us that term, actually, centuries ago. Different enemy, same lesson. If we can't have it, you can't either." "Barbaric," she whispered. "Human," he corrected. A new sound cut through the chaos. Sharp, rhythmic, close. The distinctive crack of kinetic rounds punching through crystal walls. "Ground forces," a guard reported, his voice breaking. "They're already inside the city. How did they get past our shields?" Kyle smiled grimly. "They didn't come from orbit. They came from underneath. Humans love tunnels. Mining equipment makes great drilling machines. And your people built this city on bedrock, right? Generations. Stable, strong, easy to tunnel through if you know what you're doing. We need to reach the evacuation ships," the queen said, finally moving. "Can your people be reasoned with?" "My people are dead," Kyle said coldly. "These aren't my people. They're just humans who are mad about it." The princess grabbed his arm. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "You could stop this. Call them off. I couldn't stop them if I tried. That's what you don't understand. There's no off switch, no central command to countermand. Every single human who came here made their own choice. They'll make their own choice about when to stop. Then we're doomed," she said. "Maybe," Kyle agreed. "Or maybe you could try something radical. The Queen turned to him as another section of wall collapsed. What? Surrender? Not to a military commander? To them, individually, all of them, broadcasted wide. Admit what you did was wrong. Offer reparations, not to our government, to the families, to every single person who lost someone. That's thousands of negotiations, a guard said. Millions, probably, Kyle said. Welcome to dealing with humans. We don't scale efficiently. We scale personally. The doors exploded inward. Figures in mismatched armor poured through the smoke. Not soldiers, just people. A woman in a mechanic's exosuit. A man with a mining laser welded to a mobility frame. A teenager who couldn't have been older than 17 holding a plasma cutter like a sword. They all stopped when they saw Kyle. Lieutenant Brennan, the woman said, we got your beacon. Are you hurt? I'm fine, Madison, he said, recognizing her voice, if not her face, behind the helmet. Stand down. We're talking. They killed the colony, the teenager said. His name tag read Ethan. My sister was there. I know, Kyle said gently, but killing them won't bring her back. It'll feel good, though, Ethan said. The Queen stepped forward, unarmed, unguarded. I am responsible. If you require blood, take mine. Spare my people. Madison's weapon didn't lower. 1 life for 50,000? That's not math that works. Who guards you most? The Queen asked. My human's answer shocked the princess. .txt. Kyle moved between them and the Queen. Madison, what did you do before this? Before you got in that exosuit and flew halfway across the galaxy? She hesitated. I ran a repair shop. Fixed shuttles mostly. And you, Ethan? The kid's plasma cutter wavered. I was in school. Engineering track. Right, Kyle said. So you're not soldiers. You're people who dropped everything because you were angry. Because someone needed to do something. That's the human way. But here's the thing. We're also the species that figures out what comes next. Next is making them pay, someone in the back shouted. They already are paying, Kyle said, gesturing to the crumbling palace. You've torn apart their infrastructure, shattered their defenses, proven they can't stop you. But if you kill them all, what happens tomorrow? Madison's helmet tilted. We go home. Do we? Kyle asked. Or do we occupy this world, garrison it, spend the next 20 years fighting an insurgency? Because guess what? They'll do exactly what we just did. Their civilians will become fighters. Their engineers will become saboteurs. And we'll be the monsters they tell stories about. They started it, Ethan said. But his voice cracked. Yeah, Kyle agreed. They absolutely did. And we finished it. Look around. This isn't a victory in progress. It's complete. They're beaten. Now we decide what kind of species we want to be. The princess spoke up, her voice carrying despite the chaos outside. Why do you defend us? We destroyed your colony. Kyle turned to her. I'm not defending you. I'm defending us. Humans. Because if we slaughter you to the last crystal, we become the thing we hate. We become the kind of species that glasses colonies. More humans filtered into the chamber. Hundreds now. All armed, all angry, all looking at Kyle for guidance they hadn't asked for and he hadn't earned. Listen up, he called out, his voice carrying. I know you're hurting. I know you want blood. I lost people too. My entire crew died before I even got captured. But we're at a decision point. We can be executioners, or we can be something better. What's better than justice? Someone demanded. Change, Kyle said. Real change. You want to honor the dead? Make sure this never happens again. Not to us. Not to anyone. The Queen's voice cut through the murmurs. What are you proposing? A treaty, Kyle said. Not between governments, between people. Your civilians and ours. Face-to-face negotiations. every family that lost someone gets to sit across from you and your counsel. They tell you what they need. You provide it. No intermediaries, no bureaucrats, just people talking to people. That could take years, the princess protested. Better than centuries of guerrilla warfare, Madison said slowly. She lowered her weapon. I came here to make them hurt. But maybe the lieutenant's right. Maybe making them understand hurts more. Ethan's plasma cutter dropped to his side. My sister wanted to build bridges between species, literally. That was her thesis project. If I kill these people, I'm destroying what she died trying to create. The mood in the room shifted, not to forgiveness, not even to peace, but to something Kyle recognized. Humans calculating outcomes, weighing options, making individual choices that would somehow, impossibly, align into a collective decision. All personnel, a voice crackled over comms. This is Captain Denise Larson of the freighter Lucky Strike. We've taken control of the orbital space, awaiting orders. Madison pulled out a communicator. No orders, Captain. We're figuring this out as we go. Copy that, Larson said. That's the most human thing I've heard all day. The Queen approached Kyle directly. You would trust us to honor such an agreement? After what we did? No, Kyle said bluntly. I trust humans to hold you accountable. Every single one of them. You mess up again, there won't be a negotiation. There'll just be millions of angry individuals doing what they think is right. And you've seen what that looks like? A threat, the princess said. A promise, Kyle corrected. We don't forgive easy. We don't forget at all. But we're also weirdly practical. Revenge feels good for about 5 minutes. Then you've got to live with what you did. Most humans would rather live with a treaty than a genocide. The building shook again, but lighter this time. Controlled demolition, not attack. Someone had started organizing the chaos outside. I need to address my people, the Queen said. Tell them to stand down. Accept the humans' terms. Our terms are simple, Madison said, speaking for the crowd without anyone voting her in charge. That was human too. You talk to every family. You make it right, individually. You open your worlds to inspections, random ones, by civilians, and you never, ever strike first against anyone again. And if we refuse, the silence was answer enough. We accept, the Queen said. Kyle exhaled. He hadn't realized he'd been holding his breath. Good. Now comes the hard part. Rebuilding trust. One conversation at a time. Ethan looked at the crystal beings. This doesn't mean we're friends. No, the princess said quietly. But perhaps it means we're no longer enemies. Who guards you most? 3 months later, Kyle stood in what used to be a grand ballroom. Now it was divided into hundreds of small spaces, each holding a table and chairs. Humans and crystalline aliens sat across from each other, talking, arguing, sometimes crying. This was the 47th session. Kyle had attended every one. You don't have to be here, Madison said, walking up beside him. She traded her exosuit for civilian clothes, but still carried a sidearm. Most humans did now. The aliens had stopped commenting on it. Yeah, I do, Kyle said. I started this. I need to see it through. In the nearest booth, a woman named Claire was showing a crystal elder photographs. This was my husband. This was our daughter. She was 6. She wanted to be a xenobiologist. She thought aliens were beautiful. The elder's facets dimmed with what Kyle had learned to recognize as grief. I have no words that will suffice. I don't want words, Claire said. I want you to remember her name, Sophia Martinez. Say it, Sophia Martinez, the elder repeated carefully. Again, Sophia Martinez. Good. Claire said, her voice breaking. Now you carry that forever. You make sure your people know that name. When you think about attacking someone, you remember the 6-year-old who thought you were beautiful. Kyle looked away. These conversations were harder to witness than the battle had been. How many more? Madison asked. 3,217 families still waiting, Kyle said. The Queen's doing 12 sessions a day. The Princess is doing 15. They're not sleeping. Good, Madison said without sympathy. They shouldn't sleep easy. A commotion near the entrance drew their attention. A young man was shouting at the guards. Security moved to intercept, but Kyle recognized the stance, the desperation. "Let him through," Kyle called out. The man stumbled forward. His clothes were rumpled. His eyes were wild. "I came as fast as I could. My transport broke down twice. I need to see them. The ones who gave the order." "Name?" Kyle asked gently. Peter Kowalski. My parents were on the colony. Both of them. I need them to know. I need them to understand what they took. Kyle guided him to a booth where the Queen was finishing with another family. She looked exhausted. Crystal beings didn't show fatigue like humans, but her light was dimmer than it had been. "Your Majesty," Kyle said, "this is Peter Kowalski." She straightened immediately. "Please, sit." Peter dropped into the chair. "Do you even care? Or is this just political theater?" "I care," the Queen said. "I cannot undo what was done. I can only bear witness to the cost." "My dad was a botanist," Peter said. "He made things grow in places they shouldn't. He could coax life from dead soil. My mom was a teacher. She made kids love learning. They went to your colony to help, to share knowledge, and you killed them for it." "Yes," the Queen said simply. "We did." "Why?" "Because we were afraid," she admitted. "Your species was expanding rapidly. We saw threat where there was only curiosity. We acted from fear, and innocent people paid the price." Peter's hands shook. "I wanted to hate you. I spent 3 months getting here, imagining what I'd say, what I'd do, but you're just sitting there, taking it. Why aren't you defending yourself?" "What defense exists?" the Queen asked. "We were wrong, profoundly, catastrophically wrong. I can explain our reasoning, but I cannot justify it. Your parents deserve to live, to continue their work, to see their son grow. We stole that future. No explanation changes that fact." Peter's anger crumbled. He put his head in his hands. "I don't know what to do with this, with you being reasonable." "Be angry," the Queen said. "You have earned that right. But perhaps, eventually, be something more. Your parents built things, grew things, taught things. Perhaps you can find a way to honor them by doing the same." Kyle watched the conversation unfold. This was happening in hundreds of booths, thousands of times, each one unique, each one agonizing, each one necessary. The Princess approached him later, as the day's sessions were ending. "This is destroying my mother. She barely functions anymore. The weight of these stories." "Yeah," Kyle said. "That's the point. Is this what you call justice?" "No," Kyle said. "This is what we call accountability. Justice would be easier. Execute the guilty, move on. This is harder. This is making sure the guilt actually lands, that it means something. And when she breaks completely," Kyle met her crystalline gaze. "Then you take her place. Then every member of your government takes a turn. Everyone who had a hand in the decision. Everyone who could have stopped it and didn't. We will be doing this for years." "Probably," Kyle agreed. The colony had 50,000 people. Even if only half had family who want to speak, That's a lot of conversations. The princess's colors shifted to something resigned. And you will watch to ensure we honor the commitment? Me and a few thousand other humans, yeah. We're rotating shifts, making sure someone's always here, making sure you don't get to forget or move on before it's time. Your species is relentless. Our species is thorough, Kyle corrected. You wanted to know who guards us most? This is part of it. We guard the memory. We make sure the cost is counted. We don't let injustice fade into history. A small crystal child approached, escorted by what looked like a caretaker. The princess tensed. I am sorry, the child said in halting human speech. For what my people did, I did not know. But now I do, and I will remember. Kyle knelt down. What's your name? Resonance of morning light, but humans may call me Ray. Okay, Ray. Why are you here? My teacher said we must understand that forgetting is how evil continues. So I came to learn the names, to remember them. The kid pulled out a data pad covered in human names, thousands of them, all carefully transcribed in a child's unsteady hand. Kyle felt something crack in his chest. You wrote all of these? Yes. One each day. My teacher says I will be an adult before I finish, but I must finish. Who guards you most? 2 years after the colony burned, Kyle stood at a memorial that shouldn't exist. It rose from the capital city's center, a fusion of human and crystalline design. 50,000 names carved in stone and light, each one added by hand, each one spoken aloud during the carving. Ray, now taller but still young, was reading names to a group of students, human and alien children sitting together, listening. Sophia Martinez, Ray said carefully. She was 6. She wanted to study us, to understand us, to build friendship. A human girl raised her hand. Did you know her? No, Ray admitted. She died before I was born. But I know her now. We all do. Kyle watched from a distance. Madison joined him, carrying coffee. Real coffee, imported at massive expense. Some human traditions weren't negotiable. The Queen died last month, Madison said quietly. I heard, Kyle said. Heart failure, they said. But really, it was the weight. The princess took over. She's continuing the sessions. Good. They stood in silence. Around them, the city had rebuilt, not to its former glory, something different, something that accommodated both species. Humans had started settling here, working alongside crystal beings. Trade routes had opened, cultural exchanges, carefully supervised, heavily monitored. Do you think it's enough? Madison asked. All of this. The conversations, the memorial, the treaty. No, Kyle said honestly. Nothing's ever enough. But it's something. It's a start. A figure approached. The princess, alone, without guards. She'd learned that human custom. Trust had to be earned through vulnerability. Lieutenant Brennan, she said, I hoped I would find you here. Just Kyle now, he said. I resigned my commission. Didn't feel right going back to the military after everything. I understand, she said. I wanted to tell you the sessions are complete. Every family who wished to speak has been heard. Every name has been recorded. Every story has been witnessed. And now? Madison asked. Now we remember, the princess said simply. My mother's final decree established a new tradition. Every member of our government must spend 1 year listening to the recordings. Every student must learn the names. Every crystal being must understand what we did and why it can never happen again. Words are easy, Madison said. Actions matter. Yes, the princess agreed. Which is why we have also done this. She projected a hologram, treaty documents, detailed, binding, enforced by independent observers from a dozen neutral species. We have surrendered our right to first strike, she explained, against anyone, forever. Any military action requires approval from an international council that includes human representatives. We have opened our weapons facilities to inspection. We have dismantled our planet-killer technology. And we have established a fund for education, for cultural exchange, for building what should have been built in the first place. Kyle studied the documents. This could cripple your defense capabilities. Yes, she said, that is intentional. We choose to be vulnerable rather than dangerous. We choose to trust that building bridges is safer than building weapons. That's naive, Madison said, but her tone was thoughtful, not dismissive. Perhaps, the princess admitted, but it is also human. You taught us that strength is not always military might, that the strongest societies are those where every individual takes responsibility, where power is distributed, not concentrated. We are attempting to learn from you. Kyle looked back at the memorial, at Ray teaching the children, at the names glowing in the fading light. You know what the scary thing is? He said. This worked. Humanity's weird, chaotic, every person for themselves approach actually created lasting change, not through force, through sheer relentless individual accountability. It terrifies our allies, the princess said. They see what your species did here, how you brought us to our knees without a formal military campaign, how you made peace without a surrender ceremony, how you changed an entire civilization through millions of individual conversations. They are reconsidering their strategies for dealing with humanity. Good, Madison said. Fear keeps people honest, but so does this, Kyle added, gesturing to the children. Ray wasn't even alive when it happened, but look at them, teaching the next generation, making sure the memory survives. A human boy approached the memorial, placing a small flower at its base. His mother stood behind him, tears on her face. My grandmother, the boy said to Ray, Dr. Lisa Chen. She was a doctor. I know her name, Ray said gently. She saved 43 lives during the attack, stayed at her post until the end. She was brave. The boy nodded, unable to speak. The princess watched this exchange. How do you live with it? The loss, the anger, the grief? We don't live with it, Kyle said. We live through it. We carry it forward. We make it mean something. That's the most human thing there is. We turn pain into purpose. Madison's communicator chimed. She checked it and smiled. Captain Larson. She's bringing in another shipment of supplies. Medical equipment for the clinic we're building. The joint clinic? The princess asked. Yeah, human and crystal staff. Training each other, learning each other's medicine, figuring out how to help both species? Madison looked at Kyle. You were right. Building something is harder than breaking it, but it lasts longer. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the memorial. The names glowed brighter as darkness fell, ensuring they remained visible. Always visible, never forgotten. I should go, Kyle said. I'm teaching a class tomorrow. Human history. To crystal students, what will you tell them? The princess asked. Kyle smiled. The truth, that we're messy, complicated, dangerous when threatened, but also capable of forgiveness, of building, of choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. That we're not heroes, just people trying to do better. He walked away, leaving the princess and Madison at the memorial. Do you think he knows? The princess asked quietly. Knows what? That he changed everything, that his choice in that throne room created all of. Madison shook her head. He'd say it wasn't him, that it was just humans being human. And maybe he's right. Maybe that's the point. We don't need heroes. We just need people willing to make the hard choice when it matters. The last light faded, the names blazed bright, and in the city around them, two species that should have been enemies were learning to be neighbors. Not perfect, not easy, but possible. And that, in the end, was the most human thing of all.